Welcome back, Savages. Tonight we're doing more ghost stories. It's a little segment that we thought we would give a go. It's just stories that we find online, or if people want to send us stories, we'll read them, and then we kind of do a little discussion in between each story about how we feel about things and our thought process on a lot of these things. We've got two good ones tonight. Mine's not very long, but it's something that I've actually gone through, so it's kind of funny that this one came up.
Mine is just a complete random one that I found. It's a pretty long story, but I think a lot of people can probably relate to it. It's kind of interesting. So, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go. Mine is called After Dark Trip to Cemetery. It was uploaded by Kenosha Cornfed. It is a Reddit story, and it looks like it involves one of her friends or his friends. I'm not completely sure. Sorry. It says, this happened about an hour ago. My friend called me and asked if I could give him a jump because his work car wasn't starting. He works for a security company and has to make rounds at different properties that have had issues with vandals. I agree to help him since he said it would take at least a couple hours for someone he works with to be able to come to him. He shared his location and I started driving. Didn't realize where he was until I turned onto the driveway. It is a cemetery. And of course, he was on the complete other side of the property. I just kept my eyes forward as I drove up the road to where he was. He was waving his flashlight around so I could see him. I pulled up right next to him and asked him what had happened. He told me it just died without any warning as he was turning around in his gravel parking lot. Important info for what happened shortly after. I had him pop the hood as I grabbed my jumper cables and some pliers. I open his hood and see a battery cable had just come loose. I put it back on and tightened as best as I could with the pliers. His lights came on when I connected the cable to the battery. That's when we realized we weren't alone. We saw a little kid, no older than 4, standing maybe 10 feet away from us. His friend said hi and asked if they needed help. My friend and I looked at each other for maybe a second and looked back. The little kid was completely gone. There's no way this kid could have ran away without us hearing. He said he will see things look at him from behind trees or gravestones, but this is the first time he ever saw something just standing there. I told him to stop at my house at some point tonight so I can completely tighten the battery cables. I will ask him if anything else happened after I left when he gets there. Now there's an update, I'm guessing sometime later that night. It says, my friend just stopped and told me he had something else happen about 5 minutes after I left. He forgot his flashlight where I fixed the car. As he was about to turn out of the driveway onto the road, he drove back and didn't see his flashlight in the little parking lot. He was looking for it and then noticed a light shining from halfway up a little hill. He pulled the car closer to the light and could see it was his flashlight sitting on a gravestone. He was already on edge from what we had seen about 15 minutes earlier, but he gets out to go grab his flashlight. As he reached for it, he heard a little kid voice from somewhere. He didn't understand any of the words except leave. And that's what he did. He would have come straight here if he didn't have to stop at another property on the way. And just to be clear, the little parking lot is about a quarter mile from where he found it.
I would have just said, I'll buy a new flashlight.
Well, if it's for the company, it's probably something that he has to have on him.
Oh, well.
But I would have waited till daylight,
Back
actually, because
tomorrow.
it sounds like he works nighttime. I would have waited till morning time to go find my flashlight.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking the kid might have been trying to warn him about something by just like the way that it goes. But that's what happens to me. That's what happens every time we go into a cemetery. And I mean, not the ones we've been into lately because they've been super quiet.
Yeah.
But that's usually what happens. Like when I step onto the property of cemetery and I just start walking, I just get the feelings of people just like hovering. Mm-hmm. But it's usually the little kids that I can see because they're there. Because like I said, little kids and people who died unexpectedly, they don't know how to control their emotions, and everything to them is just like mega.
And a lot of
things.
times the little kids, depending on how old they are, they don't know how to verbalize things so great, so they just show you things and make you feel things.
And kids are good about being kids, just taking stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But I would, based on the way that story goes, I would say the little kid was probably trying to get his attention to make sure he just get.
Out. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why he was hovering while they were working on the car, trying to keep whatever was there kind of at bay a little bit.
Could be. Could also be that he was curious. Like, what are you doing over there?
Yeah.
His kids are always curious.
Or you could go devil's advocate here, and it wasn't really a little kid.
No.
Well, you can.
We're not. No. No.
Okay, well, just have to throw it out there.
I know, but no. I will always think of kids as kids.
Yeah.
Until.
Proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, you can generally feel the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, there's on rare occasion where they show themselves as a kid and you don't feel the negative, but usually...
I mean, unless it's an angry kid.
But usually an experienced person can tell the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones usually in the cemeteries are a lot like, whoa, I'm dead. Now what? Kind of thing. But like when we go to houses and whatnot, it's a whole different ball game.
And then cemeteries, a lot of it is just, I miss my mom, or I miss my dad, or I miss my brother.
You get that feeling of like, whoa. I don't like those because I usually start crying.
Not that my story is a happy story by any means, but let's get away from the kids. This one is from Reddit as well, and it is by DC Josiah Ryder. This is a very, very long story, so bear with me.
The title.
Yeah, it's called Shriek. Everything happens for a reason. I hear everyone say, and I've heard it all my life. My pop and Nana always drilled that into my head whenever I couldn't get my way. It always stuck with me as a young boy and even as a grown man. Growing up, I didn't see my mother very much as she was battling addiction. I always wondered why I couldn't stay with her. I would whine and complain every time I wasn't able to spend the night with her, as if I was a mama's boy. My name is Jim, and back then I was called Little Jimmy, named after my father, who they called Big Jimmy. I might have been named after him, but I never met him before he was killed. Big Jimmy was the biggest guy on the block. I was told he was larger than life, stood 6'4", with arms as big as tree logs and a heart of gold, according to my mother. Big Jimmy was a bouncer and was tragically shot and killed one night in front of the club he worked at about 3 months before I came along. He goes on to say, my mother didn't know the details of the situation, and that's all I've ever known about the man who made me. I truly think that was the breaking point for my mother, who struggled with drugs ever since I was born. She was sent to multiple facilities for rehab while I was a young child, which resulted in me living with my pop and Nana for extended periods of time from the ages 1 to 5. I couldn't understand when I went to go live with Pop that my mother was having a hard time. I was too young to realize what was transpiring. The days I did live with my mother were some of the best childhood memories, even at such a young age. I remember spending Christmas with her and my 5th birthday. She brought a blue frosting chocolate cake to my party at my Pop's house, and I even got to spend the night with her at her place. It wasn't until I started 1st grade that I stayed with her exclusively. I was 6, and we stayed in a rundown trailer in a raggedy trailer park. My mother would always work extra shifts at a chicken restaurant to provide what we needed, and most of my time was spent by myself in our single-wide, barely standing trailer. I would get off the bus, go inside, and plop on the couch and turn on the television to watch cartoons. If I got hungry, I would climb on the counter to open the freezer door to get a hot dog and eat it cold.
Ew. Ugh.
I would wait until 5:30 when my mother would usually come through the door with an armful of brown bags containing chicken and fries from her work. I greeted her with a smile, a hug, and a kiss, and I tore into the bags of food. Me being as young as I was, I had no problem being home by myself for a couple hours every day after school. I enjoyed the freedom, whereas when I lived with Pop and Nana, I was under constant surveillance. On occasion, my mother would leave me at home at night while she went out with her friends and sometimes didn't return home until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, leaving at 9 at night, usually waiting for me to fall asleep, but I was always awake when she thought otherwise. One particular night, I got out of my bed to go watch television, to watch the late night adult cartoons. In my plaid one-piece PJs, I climbed out of my bed and made my way to the adjoining living room right next to my room, grabbed the remote, sat down on the couch, and watched the interesting cartoons on the late night cartoon channel. Naturally, a 6-year-old gets tired quickly, and I dozed off for an hour, laying horizontally on the couch until something woke me up. What woke me up was the sound of footsteps on the linoleum floor in front of the door. This part's kind of gross. You can hear the bottom of the shoes making a sticky noise as the footsteps started at the door and went in front of the television set and towards the kitchen past the counter in the single wide. So that's just gross. You can hear the shoes sticking on the floor. Ugh.
I mean, that's what happens to our floors if we add too much soap.
Yeah, true. All right. Anyways, I slowly opened my tired little eyes to seeing a white shadow pass the wall by the television, and it vanishes as it passes into the direction of the kitchen, and I lift up and look to my right to see above the counter, only to find that I'm alone. That night, my mother didn't get home until 4 a.m. I was awake to catch her and 2 of her friends coming through the door, laughing and stumbling through the door. I quickly raise up from the couch and ask, "Mommy, there was somebody in the house walking around, but they're gone." And she lightly responds, "It's okay, honey. That is a friend. He is nice and he won't bother you. Now go to bed."
The hell?
Right. "Okay, Mommy," I respond and go to bed. Fast forward, this is the kind of cool part, to 15 years. I am now a sheriff deputy of my hometown and have been for 6 months now. Life is good. I have a young boy and a wife. I recently just got assigned to a new partner due to my old one retiring. Now I have to get adjusted to the new energy. The night before I was going on my first shift with my new partner, I had a very weird experience. I'm awoken in the middle of the night to footsteps, very familiar steps that sound like they are on a linoleum floor, but we have hardwood in the house.
Ooh.
The steps are at the foot of my bed. I quickly flip from my left side to my back to get a glimpse of what is making the noise when I see a shadowy figure that is now staring at me at the right edge of the bed. I freeze. We stare at each other for it seems like 30 seconds, long enough to see that he has a straight haircut with bags under his eyes, with it looks like a collared polo shirt and baggy jeans. As I observed the white shadowy figure, I rub my eyes and poof, he's gone. I honestly don't know what to think. Now it's 3 a.m. I have to be up in 2 hours to get ready for my shift. So I get up and start my day early with my coffee. I get into the office, get ready to start my shift with my new partner. "How are you doing, Jim?" "Good, sir. How about you?" "Can't complain. Nobody would listen anyway." "That's right." Our shift started with a ride around. Just a regular day, regular vibes, until we saw an old 2000 burgundy Honda Civic with the tail lights busted out. So naturally, we flash and pull it over. It's about a 30-year-old male, and he seems a bit inebriated. We end up removing him from the vehicle only to find a weapon. Arrested Smith & Wesson. Per protocol, we ran the serial number, and it was reported stolen from over 18 years ago. So now we have to take the suspect in for questioning. We get to the station, run ballistics, look into more information on who reported it missing. Turns out the one who reported it stolen is proclaimed deceased after being missing for 17 years.
Weird.
Weird that we just uncovered a weapon of a dead person from that long ago. We had to wait for the suspect to sober up before we could question him. This being a sheriff's office case, we get right to it with questioning the next morning. Turns out the guy was related to the deceased person, and he claimed that he was holding on to his cousin's gun for him. But his cousin had been missing for so long, and the gun was so rusted, we put together that he was most likely getting rid of the weapon when we pulled him over. After 3 days of constant interrogation, the man cried and told us everything. He told us he and his cousin got into an altercation after he stole his cousin's gun, and the cousin saw him with it. They had a wrestling match for the gun, and he ended up shooting him dead. He claimed that after the altercation, he drove to a remote wooded area and buried the body. That same day, he led us to the area where he believed that he had buried the body. The closer we got to the location, the weirder I felt, because we were in my hometown and we were taking a similar route to where I used to ride the bus home.
Oh.
Yeah. We eventually end up turning on an old road that led to an abandoned trailer park, the trailer park I used to live in. It had been foreclosed on when I was 9 and we moved away. But the same trailers were in the same spot, but the vegetation had taken over and every trailer had trees growing inside and all around with nothing but high grass covering the entrance. Somewhere in here, said the suspect, there was no trailers here when I came. They hadn't put anything on the land yet, so I thought it was a good spot. He continued in a sad tone. I immediately went numb. My body tensed up like I had been frozen in ice. Let's get out, my partner suggested. I was very hesitant getting out because of the days I spent on this road getting off the bus to walk 100 feet to my trailer. We removed the suspect and began to walk. I didn't really go far in because it was so wooded back then, said the suspect. It's like he was walking me home as we went through the shrubs and very tall grass.
I've got chills.
And to see my old trailer, I bent over and started throwing up. I knew instantly. Damn, Jim, you all right? I wiped my mouth and said, yeah, it might have been something I ate in this heat. The suspect jumped out of the way of my burst just as I hurled. We ended up stopping and let the other crew go ahead with the suspect. I slowly followed behind. I'm watching from behind and I see the crew stop at the first trailer on the left. That's my old trailer. We got to get a demo team out here, I hear one of them yell. An hour passes by and the bulldozer is being delivered and chopping through the green shrubs towards the trailer. We watch on as the bulldozer easily pushes over and destroys the rundown trailer with no problem. We watch on and I already have an idea of what we will most likely find. After 3 hours of clearing the space and digging, we hear, got something! As a group, we all circle around and look down to see what looks like a bone sticking out of the wet sediment. Get forensics out here, my partner says immediately after the discovery. Turns out the guy buried was put there 3 months before they started placing the trailers in the park. The victim was 21 at the time and had just had a son not too long before his disappearance. The victim was the man my mother mentioned to me when I was younger, and after seeing pictures of him alive, he was the man standing at the foot of my bed.
I've got chills. Oh my God.
Yeah, once I read that one, I was like, that's it. That's
Oh,
mine.
like my hair is like standing up. I love that story.
Yeah. At first, I thought it was going to maybe turn out to be that was his dad.
I was like on edge.
But the fact that that guy had just had a son right before he died
Right.
was probably why he was so interested in him as a little boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's kind of cool because you hear about these small town stories where people grow up and like all these houses are haunted and whatnot. And then the ones that go on to be like government officials or they work for the city, like the police force or the city crew, they're taken back to places that they used to live. And
Yeah.
they're like finally putting 2 and 2 together of, oh crap. Like I've seen this before. I know there's somebody there.
And I think that the spirits know what they're going to be when they grow up. So
Right.
they're leaving all these clues. So when they get to be an adult, they're like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
Right.
So I think that's wild.
I like that. That was a good one. I think the small town stories are the best because you get a lot of things like that where you have all these rural areas where bad stuff has happened and then all of a sudden you speed up 10, 15 years and they're condos, they're developmental properties, they're grocery stores, and then people are constantly like, oh, I am always hearing people that aren't there or I see things that aren't there. And it's like you go back to before you were alive or before anything was here, the property belonged to somebody else or
Right.
something happened on this property.
Right. Even if it was vacant, that doesn't mean nothing ever happened there. There could be a body buried there, or
Yeah.
somebody could have been murdered there, or somebody could have birthed a child there.
You never know what the property you're living on is going to hold. It could be something where nothing ever happens, or it could be something that happens as soon as you move in and then dissipates throughout time. You just never know.
Or you could just wake up one day and be like, whoa.
Yeah. Kind of like when you hear somebody cough next to your bedroom door. Stupid John. Had to spook me a little bit with his little smoker's cough.
Yeah, well, he just wanted to say hi.
I don't think he likes the basement being cold. I haven't felt
But
or
I don't
heard anything for a while.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think spirits care if it's hot or cold, but
I
don't know.
My basement is really cold. It's either that or he's upstairs now because the cats are all acting weird.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it for story time. If you have any stories that you would like us to share, send them to us.
You can send them to our email that's on our website.
You can message them to us in TikTok, YouTube, Facebook.
Instagram. We're on the gram.
We're everywhere.
Yeah. And we can either read them or have you on as a guest and you can tell us your story. We like those. We haven't tried that yet, but that's something we want to try.
Yeah, that would be fun. Because then we can drill you with the questions that we would sit here and ask each other.
We have fun things coming in June. Is it
May.
June? No. Well, yes, but June.
Oh, yeah, June. Yes.
We got invited to go to the Bel Air house with the Nuclear Soul Seekers or Trapped Souls, whichever one they go by both. He's doing an investigation.
They're doing a road trip for 5 days,
Yes.
doing 5 different locations over those 5 days.
Yes, and we got invited to do one of them, which is exciting because the Bel Air house is one that we have on our bucket list. Yes, because we did the Ross house, so this will be the other house. We get to do that with them sometime in June. And then as for May, this is something that I got as a Christmas gift. It is something paranormal. We are going to Penhurst Asylum for their Paracon. We are not going to be vendors. We're just going to be there experiencing everything as...
We're gonna be fangirling it.
Yes,
and
as
we get to
fangirls.
investigate.
We will be investigating. We actually have tickets to investigate with some of the big guns. Josh Gates is going to be there. I don't know if he's going to be leading an investigation or not, but Josh Gates is going to be there.
Nick Groff and Teresa, is that his wife's name?
I think so. Yeah. Nick Groff
One
and
of
his
my Katrina Weidman's going to be there.
Ghost Hunters are going to be there. I don't know if it's the whole team, but I know Ghost Hunters are going to be there. We are going to get to experience what it's like to be with the pros, get some tips and tricks. We are going to try to get some interview stuff. Hopefully we can get some stuff set up or something just so we can get it up on our channel. Places.
Yes, we have the VIP.
Yeah, we got VIP tickets. So yeah, we will do that. And we're also going to be doing some exploration of the city because we're actually staying inside Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. So if anybody's in that area and they want to come do like a little meet and greet, we've got 2 days where we're just going to be exploring. Shoot us a message and we can set up dates and times and do meet and greets.
If you got any cool places to go, any cool spooky places.
Yes, we have a couple lined up that we just found on our own, but we're going to go from there. We don't have anything lined up yet for October. Hopefully we'll get something in for Halloween like we have the last couple years, but I don't know as of yet. We
are working with the Nuclear Soul Seekers, Trapped Souls, to get something going for Halloween time. Some sort of public hunt-ish type thing. So
we don't have anything lined up for Halloween yet. I know Halloween's a little far away, but when we're doing this stuff, there's a lot of planning going into action.
One house case that we're getting set up before they put it on the market. We're taking the Nuclear Soul Seekers, Trapped Souls, to one of our favorite locations to see what they get sometime in the next couple of weekends whenever they can get their schedules cleared. We do have a friend on Facebook. It's called No Sleep Paranormal, and they are looking for investigators. They're in Kentucky, so I'm going to see if we can hook up with them. Maybe the Opera House or something again. The jail or...
I'm okay with going to Kentucky, but I don't know if I want to drive over that bridge. Downtown
I made
Cincinnati sucked.
I made it over the roller coaster bridge in New York. I can do it.
Downtown Cincinnati just sucked.
It's bad. But yeah, they're looking to team up, and we've got a couple friends on TikTok that want to team up for some investigations.
So hopefully we'll have some more stuff lined up this year because we know that you guys like to see how we do things here. Share us with your friends. Share us with your enemies. We like those kind.
See you next time.
Bye, guys. What? Whoop. Yep. I don't know what just happened with my brain, but it just was like burp. So, okay. Calm down.
I don't know.
I went to talk and it was just like, meh. And I was like, words don't exist right now. There are no words in the vocabulary.